I started making beats at age 14. I got my first placement, I think, age 25. If I had quit the day before I got my first placement.
The way you talk, it just gives, I think, often false hope to people.
There have been these transition periods. We're at another one. I don't know if you want to speak to this, Dame. I don't know how to phrase this so that it makes sense. I'm just ready to podcast, honestly.
Yeah. So, I mean, just being transparent and honest, because it's not anything negative. It's just explaining what happened, right? So Radio, Issa Rae's company, is still supposed to take over the MEC. With us having some involvement, it has yet to be clearly defined. I thought that was going to happen a lot sooner than it has. I, in fact, made an announcement video and put it out there that it would happen. And I think that was, I don't know what month, but earlier this year, maybe last year. I don't know. It was a while ago. So I thought things were going to transition sooner. They have taken a little bit longer, or a lot longer, to, pull things together, organize. And now the timing is early next year. And, given how things have gone, I wouldn't be surprised if even that got pushed back a little farther. So in order to kind of keep up with what we do and continue to give content and, talk about different topics in the music industry, we wanted to keep the momentum going. And that is why we are kind of in this in-between phase, right? So I definitely didn't want to see the platform die down, because when Radio does pick things up, if we're not active at all, the algorithm will penalize us and it will be hard to kind of generate momentum again. So didn't want that to happen. So now we're going to continue having a podcast under name to be determined, just to kind of keep up with what's going on in the industry, continue to provide education to our community, because I think it's important. A lot of things continue to happen. The music industry is always changing. So that is kind of where we're at right now. And that's kind of why we've come back together. And the information is still going to be great. The name is to be determined, though. So that's kind of the update on what's happened with the MEC over the past year. And that's just the open and honest truth of where we are today.
Well, we've come back together because we really never split up.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't like, obviously we're all still cool and, we're all doing our individual things. But I just think it makes sense to not lose the momentum, not lose the spirit of the MEC. So until Radio is in a position to take things over 100% and continue to build and grow it, because I feel like they have the resources to do that, I think it makes sense to still come together in this fashion.
I'm trying to blink BEEF in Morse code. Erinn, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think this is a important moment to note. I think that like acquisitions and like mergers, business partnerships, they don't always go as intended or as expected. And I feel like this is like music business 101. It's like you think it's about to go one way and then it goes another way. So like, I don't think there's any bad blood. There's definitely no beef on my side. It's a little frustrating how the process has gone, but like Dame said, like our goal is to get the information to the community and to really build on this. And so I think it's by any medium or means necessary. All three of us are looking to do that with our careers. So it's not going to stop us that they're slow, but we're not going to continue to put the ball in that court. We still want to get the information to the people and continue to build community. So I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back together as a threesome. We're going to figure it out. But I want to just continue to encourage people. Like, if it doesn't turn out, this is to me like getting signed. You get signed, you're like, oh my God, we in there. Especially for me, I was hyped. Issa Rae is for sure my current hero. And not, again, this is no shade to them. This is just how the business goes. But it's like you get signed and then your expectations aren't met. The choice and the ball is always in your court. But when you give your power to other people, you get stuck. So the rest of us, we kept moving. You know, me and Pain all three of us have been on Pain's podcast. Pain has kept it going. We've been talking, but at this point in the game, it's like, okay, well, it hasn't moved like we were told it would. It hasn't moved as expected. So we're going to keep it moving how we think it should, and then we'll go from there.
So let's start by Dame eviscerating this tweet. Let me pull it up. Actually, a friend of the podcast, a couple friends of the podcast. I saw this tweet on Adam Friedman's Twitter, or I'm refusing to call it X. And Adam Friedman's been on here a couple of times. Shout out to him. But then producer Grant reposted it. So, more friends of the show. And Adam Friedman's tweet is as follows. He says, shout out to everyone making a living in music. I've seen so many people quit and get regular jobs over the years, but you're still here. Cheers to you. So Dame is pissed.
So I'm not pissed. And Adam, does good work. He fights on behalf of a lot of producers to get paid. My issue with that tweet is that it makes it seem like getting a regular job is not a good thing, or is a bad thing, or you failed if you don't have a career in music, right? Like, we've talked many times about how difficult it is to have a career in music, and only a small percentage are going to be able to have a career in music, right? And I've been in music long enough to see now many people come and go, right? But it just so happened that this tweet I saw after a conversation with a friend of mine who left the music industry, has a very successful company, and is about to raise. He told me that they're looking at an investment in the 9-figure range, right?
Well, they really messed that up. I'm looking at 9 figures this morning just off of Beats.
So he's looking at an investment. So his business is doing well enough to be talking with investors at an amount in a 9-figure range, right? I just want people listening to this to say, look, if you don't make it in music or decide that something else is better for you, that could be an amazing thing. That could be what you were put on this earth to do. So if it doesn't work out in music, and I know that Adam didn't say like, hey, you're a failure. But to me, that kind of, it just kind of implies, like, we always kind of have this attitude of like, keep going, keep going, keep going. Maybe music wasn't what you were supposed to do for your career, right? Maybe you just did it because you like to do it, and it wasn't really a passion. Like, that's the difference between a passion and something you just like to do. Like, a passion is something that you do even when you don't feel like doing it, and you don't mind doing all of the other not so fun things to get better or to push your passion forward, right? So that was just I received, and maybe if he was on here, he would be like, that's totally not what I meant. And I get it. However, I'm sure some people received it the way I did, right? In terms of, it seeming a bit negative if you stopped, right? And some people need to stop because this maybe wasn't what you were put on this earth to do. There was something else, right? And the more time that you put into music and the more money you put into music is taking away from what you were really supposed to do here, right? It's possible. I'm not telling you that's the case. Everybody needs to make the decision for themselves, but that's how I received the tweet a little bit negative for the people that, decide to go a different route. And I know many people that have left music and are doing really well and are very happy. There was another cat that has gone into real estate, and I just saw, I don't know how well his business is doing, but he seems to be doing okay just based off his Instagram. I don't know him too well. It's just somebody that happened to come up like shortly after I saw that initial tweet. So don't feel bad if, music doesn't work out for you. It doesn't work out for a majority of people, a super majority of people. But there's so many amazing things that you can do in this world, so many other amazing contributions that you can make in this world. It doesn't have to be music. And that was really all that I wanted to say about that tweet.
I personally didn't take it the exact same way that you did. I do agree that some people are missing their calling by sticking around, or some people are frustrated by sticking around and looking for it to be their only source or their main source or their biggest source of income. I think that the art versus commerce and the love versus passion versus paying my bills conversation plays into this heavily. But I personally saw it as, this is a really hard industry to make it in. If you stuck around, kudos to you, you know? So like for me, it was a congratulatory tweet. I just hit 13 years in the music industry. And y'all know last year, October to October was really October of last year to September of this year was really, really tough for me. And I was really contemplating getting out of the music industry. I shut down operations of my booking agency and gave my shares back to one of the other partners that I had in that. My management firm transitioned to just doing events, and we laid off our entire staff this summer. So for me, I went through a really big transition where I was like, do I actually want to work in music, or do I want to work in something that's adjacent or entertainment? Fortunately, like I made a move to a new city, and I decided like, I think I do want to stay here, and a lot of opportunity met me. I think I just had to get out of where I was. I think I'm built for it. I think I'm equipped for it. I think I'm great at it. But I also know that I have so many translatable skills that, like you said, Dame, I would thrive anywhere. That's why I wasn't scared when I was like, I think I may be getting out of the music industry. And Dame laughed at me, y'all. He was like, you're not leaving. We all say it. And, you know, truth of the matter is I didn't leave, because we all do say it. But I also agree that it doesn't have to be here. You're not a failure. In fact, to me, if you are decent in the music industry and you're persistent and consistent, you're almost going to guarantee a win in another industry, because there's such a high margin of error and such a low probability of survival, much less winning in this industry, that if you have developed the skill set and the communication skills needed to do well in music, you're probably going to do really well in another industry. So I didn't take it as a bad tweet. I thought it was encouraging, and I'm like, yes, we've made it. Oh my gosh, this industry is crazy, but I'm with you. I get it. I don't think it's a negative to pivot out of this. And I think anybody who sticks around is doing a good job if it makes sense for their life.
And that may be, I'm sure that's how he intended it. But let me just read again exactly what he said. I've seen with like 3 O's, many people quit and get regular jobs over the years, but you're still here. Cheers to you. Let me put 2 scenarios out here. Who deserves more congratulations, right? So there's an artist struggling, you know, hasn't really made it, but he's there. He's there. He or she is there. Like, they keep putting out music. They're not really making it. You know, they're not really, hitting a point where they're getting momentum, and they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Cool. Option B, somebody was like, this isn't really for me, so I'm going to go off and be a teacher or a principal or something. Like, who deserves more congratulations? Like, who deserves more congratulations? Like, somebody that found their true calling, or somebody that is still kind of spinning their wheels, not really going anywhere, or the other person that, you know, found another passion, or maybe their true passion. And so, like, who deserves more congratulations in those scenarios?
I don't think it's like more or less. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's like, to me, again, it doesn't seem like he's trying to pit one or the other against. It's just a fact. So many people have left the music industry. If you stick around and do anything, kudos to you. I think that, just like your example, though, there's examples like me, people who have been here, who are making an impact, who are doing really good work. And then we're like, I don't know if I want to continue to essentially be penalized for being in an industry that doesn't have an infrastructure that rewards people like me early, right? So for him, so many people have quit. Okay, Erinn, you stayed. Kudos to you. That's how I took it. I took it as appreciation to people who have decided to double down and say, I believe in this and I'm going to stick around. I never look at when I'm looking at music industry tweets, I'm never looking at them as dedicated to people who are hobbyists. You're talking about an artist who's just kind of hanging out, hanging around.
That's not what I'm talking about. They might be really trying. They might be really trying to figure this out. I'm not just saying that they just at the studio, just like winging it. There's a lot of people that are really trying. But
I'm saying, like, I'm not even saying just trying, but I feel like I just don't think that he's making a delineation between staying or going is good or bad. I think he's just saying we're in the similar industry. If you stayed, I'm congratulating you because so many people have left. But again, I'm with you. I think that I don't think that one has more merit than the other. I think that a lot of people should leave the music industry. I think part of the issue with the music industry is that too many people are holding on to a pipe dream or holding on to a system that they have not figured out how to hack. And to be honest, maybe you go away and do some. I have a friend who's a producer who got into education. He did so well in education that he found a track via tech. And now he's making music for kids, and he was a part of Techstars. And then that turned into him making way more money in the music industry than he ever has, because he wasn't focused on him being the artist and the producer anymore. He went to serve another, he still had the same audience base, but he went to serve another another customer base. So he was getting paid from a different group of people, but he still was producing and he still was educating. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm with you. I don't see it as either or. I think he's saying that because I think that by the same token, anybody offended by this, not everybody, because I know that you're bothered by it, but I feel like people offended by it who are like, well, I changed industries. I think that's cool. I don't think it was meant to be an offensive tweet. I just thought it was him championing for the people who have stayed.
Don't do that. I know that I'm not saying that he intended it to be offensive. I'm saying, one, you shouldn't be congratulated just for still being here. And number two, and even I've used this term before, regular job. Like, it's not, a lot of these other jobs are not regular. Like, you can be irregular. I think we just have to change the term of using, maybe it's a more structured job. It's a more 9-to-5 path, but a lot of these other jobs are not regular. I would not describe them on purpose as regular. So those are the two things that in turn, I'm
saying you don't think people should be congratulated for sticking around. That's like your
for
first
just being here. No, you don't get congratulated for just still being here. Like, okay, you stuck it out, but you're still doggy paddling. I'm not congratulating that.
But that's my point. I don't think I never see music industry, and maybe this is just me, music industry conversations or tweets. I'm never looking at like the people finishing 7th through 10th out of a 10-person race. You're saying doggy paddling. I don't know. I think he's congratulating people who, again, I took it personally. Yeah, I've been here 13 years. This joint is super difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm still here. I'm making an impact. I'm not looking at the artist who just hit 50,000 monthly listeners after 15 years in the industry. Like, that to me is, and that's no disrespect to anybody who's at that point, because if you stuck it out, that means you care. But like, this is not a career at this point. This is you saying, I'm deciding to make my hobby part of one of my streams of incomes. And if somebody decides to leave, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think congratulating somebody, I think it's dope how long you've been in the industry, Dame. I would love to congratulate you because you're one of the most fluid executives that I've ever met in my life. Executives are super fluid, but you always have something new, something exciting, something major, relationships that you're building. I feel like that's worth congratulating. Same with me. I think about all the struggles that I've had to go through as a Black woman, starting in rock music. Now I work at gospel music. I've gone through 6 different genres. I've iterated in multiple different cities. I'm finding my groove in different ways. Now I make more money in education, but I started out in management. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I just don't think I think saying you don't think people should be congratulated is kind of crazy, because in any other industry, every year that you hit major markers, people congratulate you. You hit your 5 years at a company, you hit your 10 years, 15 years, 25 years. You get bonuses. This is the only industry that you could be here 10 years and never get a bonus. You know what I'm saying? So I disagree with that. I do think people should be congratulated. And I don't think it's like an issue to applaud people for sticking around in a really, 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 really hard industry.
But some, and Pain, you can come in and just club, because I know we got to get to other topics. But I believe you should get congratulated on impact and what you do, not length of time being here. Because a lot of people, like I said, are here and they shouldn't be here because their skill set, what they can make a larger impact somewhere else. So I don't want to be congratulated. It just make me feel old. Like, hey, damn, you've been in the industry since 2000. Great. Like we can talk about certain things that I've done or something that I'm working on or something I'm looking forward to. But
this is personal. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Dave. I don't want to be reminded of how long I've been doing this, but at the same time, I feel like I'm kind of disagreeing with both of you in the sense that both scenarios that you find problematic, I'm like, wait a minute. Those people deserve, because you can think of, well, Dame gave two scenarios and it felt like a fallacious argument because there are a million different points on a spectrum. You know, a person can be in the business for 15 years and they figure it out on their 13th year. And then within 2 years, they experience a lot of growth. Same way with any traditional job, any 9 to 5. There are people who are mediocre as hell at their jobs for 10 years and they bounce around and they get to finally the right company, it's the right fit, and they thrive. So whoever is there at their current job where they're thriving, people are going to congratulate them. They don't get less credit just because they messed around for 14 years. Same with the music business. If you start at age 15, you start making beats at age 15, and at age 30, you get your first placement. Well, I'm looking at myself in this scenario. I started making beats at age 14. I got my first placement, I think, age 25. So if I had quit the day before I got my first placement, was that what was supposed to happen? I think it's really difficult for us to determine who's supposed to get a traditional job and exit the music business gracefully and who's supposed to stick around, because at any given point you can stick around and a light bulb can go off. I'm not saying it's great. I would have loved to have figured it out and been more focused. I admit I was very chaotic and I didn't even believe in myself up to a certain point. So I had to make a lot of internal changes before I got to that point. And trust me, there was this one time I was in, I know you want to say something, Dave. So let me just end on my rant on this. There's this one time I fully plan on getting a traditional job. I'm working as a youth service coordinator at the community college here. I'm with a group of high schoolers, and someone's like, I'll go over to that table with those boys and tell them about what you're doing, making beats. So I go over there and they're like, who'd you work with? I'm like, I start naming all these local artists and they all just start rolling their eyes. And the one kid is like, I thought you'd at least say like a Little Flip or somebody. And I'm just like, this is embarrassing. But 2-3 years after that, I have a #1 album. So I felt like an idiot. And then I no longer felt like an idiot, felt validating. And even still, that was like, I don't know, 15 years ago. And I still every week have a moment or two where I'm like, man, I got to quit and get a regular job. This shit sucks. This is too much for me. And then I persist, and the following week is fine. So I enjoy reading those tweets because it's something that even people who are working at a high level need to hear every now and then.
Last thing really quick again, and the way you talk make it seem like the way you talk, it just gives I think, often false hope to people because it makes it seem like you could do, this is the outlier, right? This is the outlier. And then your career goes like this. Like that's an outlier. And we keep talking about these scenarios. Oh, at any given time, like, no, like most people that have success in the industry, like you're seeing bits of success, you're seeing bits of success, you're seeing, and it's a build, right? There are people where it does, like, it's like this and then boom, like, but we can't talk about those and like, as those are, that's the norm. Those are the extreme outliers, right? And I think when we talk about it like that, it gives a lot of people false hope.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the 7th, 8th, and 9th place people. That's what I'm saying. I wasn't offended by the tweet because I don't think it's directed at these people who are just here, and no offense to anybody who has that story, but you're just here contributing to the music game, which goes into the point that I'm like talking through about Spotify. Spotify, I guess we could kind of segue.